The galaxy had known peace for centuries, but it was a peace born of silence, fear, and submission. Under the iron grip of the Ascendants, entire star systems bowed like wilted trees in a storm, their civilizations kneeling before powers that seemed more myth than reality. No one challenged the Ascendants, for their rule was absolute. Their technology was beyond comprehension, their psionic commanders able to bend wills and erase thoughts like a flick of a hand. Entire planets vanished or reshaped at their whim, and legends whispered that the Ascendants could peer into the souls of their subjects, unraveling rebellions before they even took root. In the luminous spires of Ascendant Prime, the galaxy's throne world, the Council of Ascendants gathered. Their faces, more machine than flesh, glowed with an eerie light beneath ornate helmets. The Grand Matriarch, the supreme ruler, regarded the data streams flowing before her with cold precision. "Another vessel detected in Sector 7G, intoned the chief analyst, voice clipped and devoid of emotion. "Unidentified origin, not listed in any known registry." The Grand Matriarch's eyes narrowed, their glow intensifying. "Have we attempted contact? Initial scans indicate technology levels inconsistent with Ascendant design. Preliminary classification, primitive." A ripple of disdain passed through the chamber. To the Ascendants, primitive was almost synonymous with irrelevant. Their empire was built on the belief that no species could rise to challenge them. Their godlike reign was eternal. "Send the envoy," the Grand Matriarch commanded. "Let them witness true power." Light years away, the Odyssey slipped through the void like a shadow. Its hull bore the scars of countless battles and improvisations, patches of different metals, exposed wiring, and a hull design that seemed almost clunky compared to the sleek Ascendant vessels. Inside, Captain Mara Quinn stood on the bridge, her sharp eyes fixed on the flickering holographic map. The crew moved with efficient purpose, though a tense energy thrummed beneath their professionalism. "We've crossed the outer edge of Ascendant space," Mara announced. "Sensors picking up comm traffic, but it's all encrypted or silent. They're hiding something." Her first officer, Lieutenant Jamal Reyes, leaned forward. "They expect us to back down, they always do, but not this time." Mara's lips twitched into a brief, wry smile. "No gods here, just humans." The Odyssey wasn't a warship by Ascendant standards. It was a research and exploration vessel, converted for survival. Its mission was simple: push boundaries, seek out new worlds, and most importantly, never obey anyone's rule but their own. Back on Ascendant Prime, the envoy prepared to intercept the Odyssey. The Ascendant's ships were magnificent, gleaming and angular, built for dominance. Their envoys were chosen for their psychic abilities, trained to intimidate, manipulate, and destroy. Envoy Sirek, a towering figure wrapped in shimmering armor, was among the best. He had seen species crumble beneath his mind's weight. Yet, as the Odyssey drew near, a flicker of something unfamiliar stirred in him. Curiosity, or perhaps unease. When the Odyssey's communications console crackled, the voice that came through was cold, formal, and drenched in contempt. "This is Envoy Sirek of the Ascendant Coalition. Identify yourselves and submit to Ascendant authority." Captain Mara's response was steady, unapologetic. "This is the Odyssey, a human vessel. We acknowledge no gods, no overlords. We seek passage and trade." The silence that followed was heavy, almost tangible. Envoy Sirek's psychic senses swept toward the Odyssey's crew. He expected panic, obedience, fear. Instead, he found something alien: defiance, confidence, a chaotic mix of hope and stubbornness. He clenched his fist. "You insult the Ascendants. Such arrogance will be punished." Mara's voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of challenge. "We don't bow to gods. We won't be silent." On worlds across the galaxy, secret broadcasts caught the static of the Odyssey's message. A farmer on a distant mining colony paused his work. A scholar in a cloistered library leaned closer to a hidden terminal, and rebels in the shadows whispered the words like a prayer. For the first time in generations, the galaxy heard a voice that refused to obey. Back aboard the Odyssey, Mara stared out the viewport into the stars, the same stars that had shone on countless conquered worlds, now flickering with new possibilities. "We're not just a ship," she said softly. "We're the beginning." And somewhere in the depths of Ascendant Prime, a shadow of doubt crept into the Grand Matriarch's mind. For the first time, the Empire faced something it couldn't control. The Odyssey's arrival did more than disrupt communications. It shattered assumptions. Envoy Cyrek's ship closed the distance to the human vessel with unyielding precision, its sleek form cutting through the void like a scythe. The Ascendant Envoy's mind crackled with psychic authority, ready to assert dominance and crush this anomaly of defiance. Yet as the airlock cycled open and his boarding party crossed the threshold, something unexpected awaited them. The Odyssey's interior was cramped and cluttered, a maze of exposed conduits, patched consoles, and the unmistakable hum of jury-rigged systems. Unlike the polished, sterile halls of Ascendant ships, every surface told a story of hardship and survival. The humans moved with purpose, but without the rigid formality Cyrek had anticipated. At the bridge, Captain Mara Quinn met the Ascendant's gaze unflinchingly. Her stance was relaxed but unmistakably in command. Behind her, the crew's expressions ranged from wary to defiant. Cyrek's psychic probe swept the room, expecting to find subjugation or fear. Instead, he encountered something alien. A raw, untamed will that refused to yield, a stubborn spark burning fiercely beneath the surface. "You are humans," Cyrek said, voice cold but curious. "Your technology is primitive. Why do you resist?" Mara's eyes narrowed. "Because we're free. Freedom isn't about tech or gods. It's about choice." The envoy's mind recoiled, unfamiliar with such an unshakable resolve. "You overestimate your strength. The Ascendants control this galaxy. Resistance is futile." "Control isn't strength," Mara replied quietly. "It's fear, and fear can be broken." Back on Ascendant Prime, the Grand Matriarch observed the exchange through a secure feed. Her eyes flickered with unease. The humans' defiance was unprecedented, their psychology unlike anything in Ascendant records. "Prepare for psychological subversion," she ordered. "Break their morale. Make them bend." But on the Odyssey, the crew were already fighting battles within, battles of doubt, fear, and hope. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes, Mara's second-in-command, paced the cramped quarters. "They underestimate us," he said, voice low. "But that means they're dangerous. If they're so powerful, why do they have to rule through fear and obedience?" Mara folded her arms. "Because power without will is meaningless. We have the will. That's why we're here." The humans wasted no time. Instead of retreating or submitting, they broadcast a message throughout Ascendant space, an open challenge, wrapped in a promise. "We don't obey gods. We seek only freedom. If your rule is just, prove it. If it is tyranny, prepare for the end." The transmission rippled through communication networks, reaching far-flung colonies and quiet worlds, where hope had long been smothered. Wherever the message landed, eyes brightened, whispers spread. In a shadowed cave on the mining world of Kethra, a rebel leader listened, her heart pounding. "If humans dare speak like this," she murmured, "maybe we can too." The Ascendants were swift to respond, sending a psychic envoy to test the humans' minds. Cyrek led the assault, attempting to overwhelm their thoughts, to sow fear and obedience. But Mara's crew had anticipated this. They had trained their minds against intrusion. Using old human techniques forgotten by most of the galaxy, they fought back with mental resilience born from centuries of surviving brutal realities. Cyrek recoiled in shock. Never had a mind resisted so strongly. "How?" he demanded. "Because we don't break," Mara said simply. Tensions escalated. Rapidly, the Ascendants tightened their grip, dispatching patrols to blockade the Odyssey. Meanwhile, hidden messages from the human ship reached oppressed worlds, fueling secret rebellions. On the Odyssey, the crew worked around the clock, repairing battle damage analyzing ascendant technology, and preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Jamal approached Mara quietly, voice tense. "They're sending a fleet. They want us crushed before we become a symbol." Mara's expression hardened. "Then we give them a fight they'll never forget." In the dark corridors of Ascendant Prime, the Grand Matriarch convened with her advisors. "The humans are unlike any we've encountered," she admitted. "Their defiance threatens to unravel everything." One advisor whispered, "They don't just challenge us, they inspire. The galaxy listens." The matriarch's eyes narrowed. "Then we must silence them. Permanently." The Odyssey's crew stood united in the face of overwhelming odds. They were a small flame against an empire's shadow, but their resolve burned, brighter than ever. Mara gazed out at the stars, the same stars that had once witnessed countless worlds fall into silence. Not anymore. "We're not just a ship," she said softly to her crew. "We're a spark, and sparks start fires." The galaxy held its breath. News of the Odyssey's defiance rippled silently through the shadowed corners of the galaxy. On countless worlds shackled beneath the Ascendant's iron rule, whispers of rebellion began to stir. But open defiance was still death for most. Secrecy was survival. In the cramped tunnels beneath the industrial sprawl of Kethra, Lyra Malen moved swiftly, a flame of hope in a bleak world. Her once vibrant home planet had been reduced to a resource mine for the Ascendants, its people crushed beneath forced labor and brutal oversight. But when the secret broadcast reached her hidden terminal, an encrypted message from the Odyssey, something shifted inside her. The words, "We don't obey gods," echoed like a rallying cry. "We're not alone anymore," she whispered, eyes blazing. Lyra gathered her trusted comrades, miners, smugglers, former soldiers, all tired of the same silent servitude. Their first act of rebellion would be small, symbolic. Sabotage a mining facility's power grid during the Ascendant's anniversary celebration. It would send a message: defiance is possible. Back on the Odyssey, Captain Mara Quinn reviewed intelligence from across Ascendant space. Reports trickled in, encrypted messages, fleeting acts of sabotage, rising tensions. The humans' challenge was no longer isolated. It was igniting a galaxy-wide spark. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes frowned. "We expected fear. Instead, we're getting hope. The Ascendants won't let this go unanswered." Mara's jaw tightened. "They'll crush anyone who rises. We need allies." She convened a council with the Odyssey's senior officers debating their next move. "We can't fight them head-on," Mara said. "Not yet. But we can be the voice, the inspiration. We train, we equip, we guide." Jamal nodded. "We become the rebellion's shadow, everywhere and nowhere." The Ascendants, aware of growing unrest, responded with brutal precision. Their enforcers descended on suspected rebels across multiple systems. Entire colonies were locked down, leaders disappeared in the night, and terror reigned. But the harder the Ascendants crushed, the more resistance festered beneath the surface. A remote jungle world, a secret meeting took place. Lyra Malin, cloaked and guarded, spoke to a gathering of rebels from 5 different systems. The room buzzed with nervous energy. "The Odyssey gave us hope," she told them. "It's time to act." A hushed murmur swept the room. Meanwhile, Envoy Sirek grew restless. His failure to subdue the humans had made him a subject of whispered suspicion among the Ascendants. They saw his struggle as weakness. Desperate to reclaim his honor and the Ascendants' control, Sirek orchestrated covert operations to infiltrate the rebellion. Agents disguised as refugees and traitors slipped into rebel networks, sowing distrust and betrayal. On Kethra, Lyra's closest friend, Kian, vanished without a trace after a suspicious meeting. Fear tightened its grip. "We have a mole," Lyra warned the rebels. "We can't afford betrayal." The Odyssey's crew worked feverishly to support the burgeoning resistance. Through encrypted channels, they sent training manuals, strategic advice, and technical blueprints, tools for rebellion, hidden in layers of code. Mara addressed her crew, voice steady but charged with urgency. We're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting to wake the galaxy. Every act of defiance chips away at their empire. But we must be ready, because they will come for us all. The first major test came when the rebels on Kethra sabotaged the power grid during the Ascendant's anniversary celebration. Explosions rocked the mining facilities, alarms blared, Ascendant patrols scrambled. Though swiftly suppressed, the sabotage was a shockwave. It proved the Ascendants were not invincible. It proved humans and rebels could strike and survive. Mara watched the news reports, a grim smile touching her lips. They're afraid now. But fear bred ruthlessness. The Ascendants unleashed brutal reprisals, public executions, mass arrests, and scorched worlds. Lyra's rebel network went dark for days, hunted like prey. Still, the rebellion endured. In the darkest moments, a message from the Odyssey arrived on an encrypted channel. You are not alone. Stand firm. The galaxy is waking. As Part 3 closed, the galaxy's balance teetered. The Ascendant's control, once unshakable, was cracking. The Odyssey and its human crew had become more than explorers or rebels. They were the spark lighting, a fire of freedom, but the Ascendants would not yield quietly. Their wrath was coming, and the rebellion would face its greatest trial yet. The Odyssey's warning had been clear. The Ascendants would respond with overwhelming force, and respond they did. Under the cold void of space, Ascendant war fleets massed like storm clouds above the rebellious systems. Their ships, vast and deadly, bristled with weapons and shimmering shields powered by incomprehensible technology. The Odyssey's sensors buzzed with incoming fleet movements, hundreds of vessels converging with ruthless precision. On the bridge, Captain Mara Quinn's hands hovered over the controls. Around her, the crew moved with grim determination. This is not just a battle, Mara said. It's a message to the galaxy, to the Ascendants, and to ourselves. We fight because freedom is worth dying for. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes nodded. They have numbers. We have cunning. Let's use every trick in the book. The first clash came near the mining colony of Kethra, where rebels had staged their initial strike. Ascendant dreadnoughts tore through space, their weapons devastating. Rebel fighters and Odyssey's small escort squadrons scrambled to defend the system. The Odyssey led hit-and-run raids, striking supply lines and communication nodes before vanishing into asteroid fields or dense nebulae. Their guerrilla tactics unnerved the Ascendants, who expected direct, overwhelming confrontation. Syrek's psychic assaults intensified, probing the Odyssey's crew to sow confusion and fear. But each time, humans responded with a stubborn ferocity, shielding, minds with techniques born of survival in harsh worlds, mental fortitude that defied the Ascendant's expectations. The battle extended to ground operations. On Kethra's surface, Lyra Malin's rebels fought a desperate war against Ascendant enforcers. Plasma blasts lit the darkened mines. Explosions shook the cavernous tunnels. Lyra moved swiftly, rallying her fighters. Hold the line. For every inch they take, we take 2 back. The rebels were outgunned and outnumbered, but their knowledge of the terrain and desperate will made them deadly. During a brutal firefight, a surprise strike destroyed a critical Ascendant supply depot, turning the tide. Rebels cheered, their hope renewed, but victory came at a price. The Odyssey was ambushed while returning from a raid. Ambush cruisers emerged from a nebula, trapping the ship in a deadly crossfire. Shields flickered, hull plates groaned under the barrage. Evasive. Maneuvers, Mara shouted. Jamal, reroute power to forward thrusters. The Odyssey shuddered but held. The crew worked feverishly, repairing damage even as they fought. A traitor's betrayal from within compounded the crisis. A saboteur among the humans had fed Ascendant forces crucial tactical information. Mara confronted the traitor in the ship's dimly lit corridors, rage burning in her eyes. Why? She demanded. The saboteur's voice was cold, broken by fear. I didn't want us all to die. The Ascendants will win anyway. Mara's voice was steel. then you're the real enemy. The saboteur was detained, but the damage was done. Trust was fractured, and the Odyssey limped away with heavy casualties. Meanwhile, the Ascendants tightened their grip on the galaxy, launching coordinated strikes on rebel strongholds. Entire planets were glassed in warnings, public executions, broadcast to crush hope. The Grand Matriarch decreed no mercy for traitors or sympathizers. Let the galaxy learn the cost of defiance. Yet, despite the crushing blows, the rebellion endured. New leaders rose from the ashes, inspired by the humans' unwavering spirit. Back aboard the Odyssey, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Exhaustion, loss, and constant threat weighed heavily on the crew. In a quiet moment, Mara confided in Jamal. "We're fighting an empire built on fear, but fear can be beaten." Jamal nodded. "We'll need more than courage. We'll need secrets they've buried." Mara's eyes hardened with resolve. "Then that's our next mission." As the battle raged on, the Odyssey became more than a ship. It became a symbol, a beacon for all those who refused to kneel. The galaxy watched, breath held tight, and, somewhere deep in Ascendant Prime, the Grand Matriarch's serene facade cracked just a little. The Empire's hold was slipping. The scars from the ambush still tingled across the Odyssey's hull, but the crew's resolve had not faltered. If anything, the betrayal had hardened their unity. Captain Mara Quinn paced the bridge, eyes fixed on the star map flickering before her. The next mission was clear. Uncover the Ascendant's greatest secret. A weapon, buried deep within the forgotten world of Talzar, rumored to hold the key to breaking the Empire's psychic dominance. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes stepped forward, his voice low but steady. "Talzar is shrouded in shadow and history. No one's gone in and come back. We'll be flying blind." Mara's gaze sharpened. "That's why we're going. We can't beat them by playing their game. We have to change the rules." Talzar was a dead planet, its surface cracked and barren, orbiting a dying star. Long ago it had been a hub of Ascendant experimentation, now abandoned and erased from official records. Approaching the planet, the Odyssey slipped past ancient detection arrays with stealth tech scavenged from countless worlds. But the moment their sensors swept Talzar's surface, something unexpected flickered. An active energy signature, faint but unmistakable. "Someone's here," Jamal said grimly. "Or something." On the planet's surface, deep beneath, the cracked crust, a hidden facility pulsed with eerie light. Inside, a figure moved through shadowed corridors, an Ascendant defector named Elira. She was a ghost among her own kind, hunted for her knowledge and for the secrets she carried. Elira believed the Ascendant's power was a fragile house of cards, and she had made it her mission to topple it. From within, when the Odyssey's signal pinged on her ancient comlink, she risked contact. "The humans," she whispered. "Perhaps they are the key." Back aboard the Odyssey, the crew debated their approach. "We can't storm the surface blindly," Mara said. But Elira's knowledge could tip the balance. A tense transmission linked Elira to the ship. Her voice was sharp, yet tinged with desperation. "The Ascendant's weapon controls minds galaxy-wide," Elira revealed. "A psychic amplifier buried here, feeding off the planet's core. Destroy it, and their hold weakens." Jamal's eyes widened. "If we can disable that, we could free entire worlds," Mara nodded slowly. "Then we make a plan. A strike team will descend with Elira. The rest of us cover from orbit." Landing craft pierced Talzar's thin atmosphere, kicking up dust and ash. Mara led the strike team into the labyrinthine facility, every step echoing in the silence of a place long forsaken. Inside, ancient machines hummed with an unnatural life, casting eerie shadows across rusted walls. Security systems flickered to life, automated drones and psychic wards guarding the heart of the weapon. The team moved cautiously, battling both technology and the creeping unease that seeped into their minds. The psychic amplifier whispered, in their thoughts, visions of doubt, fear, and submission. "Focus," Mara commanded. "It's trying to break us." Meanwhile, in orbit, the Odyssey fended off relentless Ascendant patrols, shields flashing under heavy fire. Jamal coordinated defensive maneuvers, buying precious time. On the surface, Elira led the team deeper into the facility, guiding them through forgotten corridors until they reached the core chamber. There, a massive device pulsed with raw psychic energy, veins of light crawling like living circuits. "Destroying this will sever the Ascendant's link to the galaxy," Elira said, "but it won't be easy." As they set charges, alarms blared. The Ascendants had found them. A desperate battle erupted in the chamber. Mara's team fought off waves of sentry drones and psychic attackers. Elira struggled to maintain the charge sequence as psychic feedback threatened to overwhelm her. With a final, defiant roar, the charges detonated. The facility shook violently as the psychic amplifier collapsed in a blaze of light and sound. Back in orbit, the Ascendant fleet faltered. Their psychic links flickered and died. Ships lost coordination, fleets scattered like startled birds. On Talzar, Mara's team barely escaped the collapsing facility, racing to the extraction point as the planet trembled beneath them. The Odyssey ascended. Mara looked back at the dying world. "The Empire's power. It's not infinite," she said. Jamal smiled grimly. "And now, the galaxy knows it." The broadcast of Talzar's destruction spread like wildfire through the systems. Where once there was fear, now was hope. The Ascendants were shaken, but not defeated. Their vengeance would be swift and brutal, but the Odyssey and its crew had lit a beacon, a promise that the galaxy could fight back, and the war for freedom had only just begun. The explosion on Talzar echoed across the stars like a declaration of war. The Ascendants, stunned and enraged, recoiled from the sudden loss of their psychic amplifier, but their fury had only just begun. Back aboard the Odyssey, the atmosphere was tense. Though the crew celebrated their victory, Captain Mara Quinn knew the reprieve would be brief. The Ascendants' reach was vast and their vengeance ruthless. Jamal Reyes stood beside Mara on the bridge, watching the flickering communications consoles. Reports came in of rising uprisings, rebels emboldened by Talzar's fall, striking back at Ascendant garrisons, sabotaging supply lines, igniting fires in the darkness. But with each victory, the Ascendants' counterattacks grew deadlier. On the smog-choked world of Vectress, Ascendant enforcers descended in overwhelming force. The city's rebels fought bravely but were pushed into cramped tunnels beneath shattered skyscrapers. Their leader, a sharp-witted tactician named Ren Callis, radioed desperate calls for aid. "We're outgunned," he told the Odyssey's comm relay. "If you can't come, we'll fall." Mara's jaw clenched. "We'll get to you. Hold fast." But the Odyssey's victory at Talzar had made them a prime target. Ascendant assassination squads, cloaked in shadow, infiltrated human-friendly worlds, hunting sympathizers and spreading fear. One strike near a bustling trade hub left hundreds dead, the message clear. The Ascendants would pay any price to crush rebellion. Among the Odyssey's crew, unease grew. Whispered conversations questioned the cost of their fight. Was their spark enough to ignite a revolution, or would it be extinguished in blood? Captain Mara found herself in the ship's quiet meditation chamber, the weight of command heavy on her shoulders. Lieutenant Jamal joined her, concern etched into his face. "We're pushing too hard," Jamal said quietly. "We've lost good people. The Ascendants adapt faster than we can." Mara shook her head. "If we don't push, the galaxy dies, under their rule. The risk is ours to take." Jamal sighed. "There's talk among the crew, of doubt." Mara's eyes darkened. "Then we remind them why we fight." As tension simmered, an unexpected message arrived, encrypted and urgent. Elira, the Ascendant defector who had helped destroy the psychic amplifier, had uncovered a new secret. A hidden Ascendant citadel on the edge of known space. A fortress guarding the Empire's last hope. A weapon more devastating than anything. Before Mara convened her senior officers, "This is our chance," she said. "We strike the heart of their power. If we fail, the rebellion dies. If we succeed, the galaxy might be free." The journey to the citadel was perilous. The Odyssey slipped through dead star fields and ion storms, its stealth system stretched to the limit. On the bridge, every shadow could hide an enemy. Every sensor ping could mean death. Lieutenant Jamal stood at Mara's side, scanning for threats. "They're expecting us." "Good," Mara replied. "Let them be ready. We'll give them a fight." Meanwhile, within the Citadel, the Grand Matriarch prepared her forces. Her icy calm belied the fury beneath. She dispatched psychic hunters and mechanized legions determined to crush the humans and their fragile rebellion once and for all. "Let them come," she whispered. "Their defiance ends here." As the Odyssey closed in, a massive fleet emerged, ascendant warships arrayed, in deadly formation. The void erupted with laser fire and missile barrages, a symphony of destruction. Mara gave the order. "Full battle stations. We hold the line and break through." The crew fought like demons, weaving through the storm of death. Fighters darted around capital ships escorting the Odyssey as it surged forward. Psychic blasts slammed against the Odyssey's shields. Mara grit her teeth, pushing the ship harder. In the midst of battle, Mara's comm crackled with an urgent message from Ren Callis. "We're surrounded. No escape." "We're coming," Mara promised. The battle raged on, a desperate dance of death. The Odyssey blasted through the fleet, fighting its way to the Citadel's surface where Elira and the strike team prepared to disable the last weapon. Inside the fortress, psychic wards pulsed violently. Elira's hands trembled as she worked to dismantle the device. "Almost there," she breathed. Suddenly, alarms screamed. The Grand Matriarch herself had arrived, a living tempest of power. Outside and inside, war reached its crescendo. The Zing Odyssey and its crew stood at the brink of annihilation or triumph. Mara's voice rang out over the chaos. "This is for freedom. This is for the galaxy." The fortress shuddered under the assault. Inside, the air crackled with psychic energy so potent it clawed at the minds of Elira and Mara's strike team. The ancient device hummed like a heartbeat, a pulse tethering the Ascendant's power to the galaxy itself. Elira's fingers danced over the alien controls, sweat beading her brow. "Just a few more seconds," she whispered. And then, the chamber door slammed open with a violent crash. The Grand Matriarch entered, a towering figure cloaked in ethereal light, her eyes blazing with a cold fury. Her voice was a low rumble, commanding and cruel. "You think you can sever the bond that holds the galaxy? You are fools." Elira stepped forward, defiant. "Your empire thrives on fear and control. That ends today." The matriarch's psychic aura surged, sending waves of crushing pressure through the room. Elira staggered, clutching her head as visions flooded her mind. Memories twisted, pain sharpened. Mara's voice cut through the chaos over comms. "Hold on, Elira. We're coming." Outside, the Odyssey wove through the relentless onslaught. Captain Mara Quinn gritted her teeth as the ship's shields flared under pounding fire. Around her, the crew fought with desperate courage, every hit pushing them closer to breaking point. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes coordinated fighter squadrons, barking orders through the chaos. "Target their command frigates, disrupt their fleet coordination." The Ascendant vessels responded with brutal efficiency, launching psychic disruptors that shattered human sensor arrays and rattled the nerves of the Odyssey's crew. For a moment, it seemed the tide might turn. Back in the Citadel, Elira fought to keep the psychic assault at bay. She reached the core console and began the shutdown sequence. "You will not succeed," the matriarch hissed. Lashing out with a psychic blast, Elira collapsed, but a hand caught her, Mara entering the chamber with a plasma rifle blazing. Together they pushed through the pain. Almost there, Elira gasped, fingers flying. In the depths of space, the Odyssey's engines screamed as Mara ordered a risky maneuver. "Jamal, prepare for a full power charge. We break through their flagship and disrupt their network." Jamal nodded grimly. "On your command." With a roar, the Odyssey surged forward, ramming the Ascendant flagship's flank. Explosions rocked both ships. Inside the flagship's command deck, Ascendant officers scrambled as systems failed. The psychic link that had coordinated the fleet shattered like glass. Back on Talzar, the shutdown sequence completed. The ancient weapon groaned and stuttered before collapsing into silence. The psychic storm dissipated, leaving a profound stillness. The Grand Matriarch's eyes widened in disbelief. "You have undone everything." Mara stepped forward, steady and unyielding. "The Tao Galaxy will no longer obey gods." The Ascendant fleet, now leaderless and disorganized, retreated into the void. Rebel forces across the galaxy seized the moment, rising in force. On Vectrus, Ren Callus led a decisive strike, shattering the Enforcer's grip. Lyra Malin's rebels coordinated widespread uprisings, their morale soaring. The Odyssey limped back to the rebel rendezvous point, battered but victorious. Captain Mara Quinn addressed her weary crew. "We've won a battle, but the war continues. The Ascendant's rule is broken, but freedom must be forged, not given." Lieutenant Jamal smiled tiredly. "We're the spark. Now it's time for the fire." The galaxy, once bowed beneath silent gods, now stirred with newfound hope, and the humans, flawed, fearless, and unyielding, stood at the center of the storm. The Odyssey's battered hull reflected the first light of a dawn, unlike any the galaxy had seen in millennia. From orbit, Captain Mara Quinn watched countless worlds flicker to life below, their people rising from shadows, emboldened by the collapse of the Ascendant's psychic tyranny. The Grand Matriarch was gone, vanished into the void, her empire fractured and leaderless. The psychic amplifier destroyed, the Ascendant's once absolute hold on minds and souls shattered. But victory had come at a staggering cost. On the bridge, Mara's crew moved silently, haunted by memories of comrades lost. The ship that had once felt invincible now bore scars, both physical and emotional. Lieutenant Jamal Reyes broke the quiet. "We did it. We really did." Mara's voice was steady, though tired. "Yes, but the galaxy isn't free yet. Not until every world has a choice." The rebellion had ignited flames of liberty across star systems. Old alliances dissolved, new coalitions formed. The era of obedience to silent gods had ended. Now came the era of self-determination. On the ground, Ren Callus and Lyra Malin led liberated planets through rebuilding and healing. But even amid hope, challenges remained. The Ascendant's influence had seeped deep, and distrust lingered like ash. Lyra stood atop a ruined tower in Vectrus's capital, addressing a crowd of survivors and fighters. "We fought because we believe in freedom, not just from chains, but from fear, from hatred from ourselves." Her words sparked cheers, but behind the voices was a quiet understanding. Freedom was a journey, not a destination. Meanwhile, aboard the Odyssey, Elira recovered from her psychic wounds. Her defection had cost her dearly, but in her heart burned the hope of redemption. Meeting Mara in the ship's observation deck, Elira spoke softly. "I betrayed my people, but now, maybe I've helped build a new future." Mara nodded. "We all carry the weight of our past. What matters is what we do with it." Yet even as the galaxy stirred, the shadows whispered. From the remnants of the Ascendant fleets, secret cults formed, worshipping the lost matriarch as a martyr. Rumors of hidden weapons and sleeper agents spread like wildfire. Jamal voiced the unspoken fear. "The Ascendants are broken but not defeated. They'll be back, stronger, smarter." Mara's gaze hardened. "Then we'll be ready. The galaxy needs guardians now, not gods." The Odyssey set course for the next rebel stronghold, its crew united by a common purpose. As stars streaked past, Mara reflected on the journey that had begun with a single human ship's arrival. Shattering, a centuries-old empire igniting hope and changing the fate of countless worlds. The galaxy no longer obeyed gods. It obeyed itself. And somewhere in the endless dark, a new dawn rose, bright with promise, forged by blood and steel, and carried forward by those who dared to fight the end